Hi, I'm Carolyn McMahon, and I'm here with my beautiful daughter, Keely. Say hi. She's here today to help me introduce you to my new book called Just Be You Girl.
So, what is this book about?
Glad you asked. The book has been written for girls 10 to 13 years of age who may be struggling with self esteem or body image issues, or may just be interested in finding out a little bit more about how the world around them affects their self esteem.
What inspired you to write this book?
You did. It was about that age that you began struggling with self esteem issues, and you seemed to become a little overwhelmed with the world around you and all the changes that were happening as your world expanded. And even though we spoke a lot, we talked a lot. You remember those talks? One night, I decided that I wanted to get you something to read, something that you could have sort of just for yourself, because I felt like you were maybe getting tired of my voice. So I went out to find you a book that covered a lot of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, and I couldn't find anything that was written just for young girls.
So, what is in the book?
There's a lot in the book. To begin with, the book starts by a lot of talk and some exercises for young girls so that they can get a sense of how it is that they're feeling about themselves right now. And then the book's broken down into sections so a reader can refer back to what she's interested in at any given time. The book, of course, it goes through the whole beauty industry, the changing definition of beauty through time, and how that's a very fluid definition. The advertising and marketing world, advertising is targeting girls at a younger and a younger age, so it's critical that they understand the whys and the how of advertising. Relationships with boys and with girls. I mean, those relationships are crucial to how a young person feels about themselves. And of course, in this day and age, social media and how that can affect self-esteem. Doesn't discuss social media in terms of the safety of it or how much you should be using. Those are decisions between a girl and her parents. But it definitely talks about things to be aware of because social media can affect self-esteem. And it's just one more area in a girl's life that she should be aware of.
Is there anything else you would like to tell us about the book?
Yeah, I'd like to mention also a few of the other components of the book. There's lots of tips and suggestions for young girls in there when they may be feeling bad about themselves, how that they can deal with those pressures. There's cautionary tales in there, which are very important because we want to help girls avoid some dangerous waters when they're feeling bad about themselves. And there are stories, a lot of stories from other girls in there, girls like yourself, and thoughts, just as a reminder to young girls out there that they're not alone. A lot of girls go through this.
Don't you think that some people might say this isn't that big of a deal, considering it's just puberty?
Yeah, I do. I do think that some people would say that. And in fact, I actually thought that myself when you started to go through this period of your life. And it was actually talking with you that made me realize that there's a lot more than puberty going on, and that the world that you're growing up in is definitely a very different world than the one that I grew up in. And the influences that are affecting your self-esteem were unheard of a generation ago. Everything from the beauty industry, which is targeting younger and younger and younger girls, to social media. Social media didn't exist. I know that's hard to believe when we were young. So the impacts of social media on self-esteem are just becoming known with your generation. And primetime TV. Primetime TV is another great example. When we were young, we had something called primetime TV for television programs that were only suitable to be shown after a certain time of night, 9 o'clock and then 10 o'clock and then 11 o'clock at night. That doesn't exist anymore. So girls today are exposed to things that I probably wasn't exposed to until I was at the very least in my late teens. So I think that would be a bit hiding your head in the sand to say that it's just puberty and it will go away. I think that girls need some real help and some real guidance getting through this period.
What would you say is the biggest message in this book?
There's a lot of messages in the book, but I think that if I had to say one, I'd say I'd want all young girls including you, to know that we are all made unique, and that's what makes us all so amazing. So we need to embrace that. Well, thank you. I want to thank you a lot for helping me with this. And I'm wondering if I could just ask you one question before we go.
All right.
You've been there, recently. You've been where some of these young girls may be right now. So do you have any advice for them? Any thoughts?
Honestly, I think the best advice that I could give is talking about it and not keeping it bottled up. Because talking to people can really help you understand your feelings and what you're going through, help you realize that you're not alone. And I think that can make it a lot easier. And then you'll realize things will get better.
Oh my gosh, I love you. So that's it. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you have any questions for Keely or myself, I would love to hear from you. You can contact us at justbeyougirl.com. Thank you.